First of all, we are really excited today that the Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, Ambassador Bankole, has visited this premises, Pan-African Parliament. We're actually keen to engage with him in the next few days. Fortunately, he's now here. On the issue, first of all, of Niger. As a parliament, as you are aware, we have associated ourselves with a statement that was issued by the chairperson of the AUC, His Excellency Moussa Faki, condemning the developments in Niger, which has seen the president elected being removed, President Bazoum, and being replaced unconstitutionally by a military outfit. We want to reassure the AUC and the Oil Department and Commission that Pan-African Parliament will work with you as experts on the ground. We as citizens, or representatives of the citizens, the voice of the people, to ensure that these occurrences of unconstitutional change of government, military coups on this continent, are eradicated. And that also takes us back to Sudan. That what is happening in Sudan, I think, is very deplorable. We have a big challenge on our on our tables in terms of Sudan. The people dying in those numbers, we are told there were about 1 million people living in the last few days. We need to protect those people. And I think the Assembly, the Executive Council, the Pan-African Parliament, and all the other structures of the African Union, they should put their heads together and say, I think we've had enough of these military coups, which all of us agree what I may call the bad side of this continent, the worst, the darkest side of this continent. And we need to come up with a strategy as to how we can end these things. Look at ECOWAS, which has been very effective, at least in attending to coups, because West Africa, of course, has had most the frequency of coups on the continent. But we are saying ECOWAS has been doing very well, and we need to support them. They need support from all regions. And even as Pan-African Parliament, we will support the Parliament of ECOWAS to come up with solutions. We need now to engage more in terms of parliamentary democracy. Parliaments cannot only sit now and just debate from chambers when the continent is going downwards, is collapsing in terms of governance and the overthrowing of governments on this continent. And we want to assure you, lastly, that Commissioner Bankole, we know you. You have been very effective, very eloquent on these issues. I believe we are getting closer to find a lasting solution. In Nairobi, there was a debate on the standby force on the continent, standby force for each region. Quite some lengthy debate, and probably we have lessons learned from that debate. Let's see, this whole debate of military option, negotiation, but negotiation, of course, we should agree, or dialogue has actually been also abused. It only means you negotiate in order to come up with a very long timeline to come back to civilian rule. And even when you come back to civilian rule, within a year again, military comes back in office. The history of Sudan, for example, is lamentable. Sudan, we are aware that since 1956, when they got independence, it has been like a seesaw, whereby when there's a civil and civilian government, military comes in, takes over. Next, again civilian. Next, military, since 1956. I think we need to go to the root of this problem. And I'm encouraged by your earlier statement that there will soon be convened a conference of various stakeholders, including people from Sudan itself, who should speak out on these issues. Because ultimately, the lasting solution should be local solution. The Sudanese themselves should give us a solution. I thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being at the Pan-African Parliament, the center of the African Union on deliberative democracy, and working closely with the President and the Bureau And I'm very pleased to continue to engage with the President of the Pan-African Parliament on issues of interest to the African Union, particularly in the field of political affairs, peace, and security. And in our engagement today, we have discussed the situation in the Republic of Niger, the ongoing war in Sudan, and how best to strengthen the interface between the African Union Commission and the Pan-African Parliament on all issues based on the mandate of the Constitutive Act. Let me use this opportunity to restate the commitment of His Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat, Chairperson of the African Union, in working closely with all organs, particularly the Pan-African Parliament. On the situation on our continent, we continue to monitor closely the happenings in various regions, while also addressing the resurgence of unconstitutional changes of government. To this end, the African Union has been working closely with ECOWAS to find a lasting solution to the situation in the Republic of Niger. And recently, the Peace and Security Council, mandated as a standing organ on all issues of peace, security, and stability, discussed at length the issues of the situation in Niger. What is clear is that the condemnation is unanimous that the African Union in its entirety stand against any form of unconstitutional changes of government. No military adventurer will be permitted to sit in the assembly of the African Union. It is for this reason that we salute the courage of our leaders on the continent, at regional continental level, in condemning the situation of military adventurism in the Republic of Niger. We call on the military leaders to respect the Constitution, restore immediately constitutional order, and continue to promote democracy, given the necessity to have a peaceful and stable continent. Let me also use this opportunity to re-emphasize the role of the African Union in finding a lasting solution based on the roadmap adopted by the leaders at the level of heads of state and government at the Peace and Security Council on the 27th of May 2023 on the situation in Sudan. We call on all actors to rally together to find a lasting solution. And it is for this reason that the African Union have been working with all stakeholders, working with the parties, the warring parties, the international community, in the expanded mechanism as well as the core group, to find the best way to bring all the political actors to dialogue towards an amicable solution to end the crisis in the Sudan. Our continent, African people, cannot afford to continue to live in conflict zones, whether occasioned by terrorism, violent extremism, or indeed by unconstitutional changes of government or unnecessary, unjustifiable wars. We really want to use this opportunity to call on the advocacy powers of the Pan-African Parliament, their role closer to the people, to work with us in ensuring that we condemn in all its ramifications the challenge of unconstitutional changes of government, of wars, terrorism, and violent extremism. We have to continue to see the best in promoting the nexus between peace, security, and sustainable development. This is our goal towards silencing the guns by 2030. Once again, I'm very pleased meeting with the President of the Pan-African Parliament and reassuring him of our commitment to work together to build a stable, peaceful continent. I thank you, sir, for having me.